This is episode 120, Why We All Need More Mudita in Our Life.
Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode. Walk with me. So I'm coming off such an insane, just energy high off an amazing event we had in our community this past weekend. I mean, just insane how electric, the best way I can describe it, it was. We spent a lot of energy building out a brand new virtual studio that combined an in-person small audience, some satellite rooms all around the actual studio room, and so much amazing technology to live stream in people from all over the world. Some of them in small groups at home, 5, 10, 15, some of them in larger groups. My Italia family had a room of 550 people all the way in Italy, opposite time zone, plugging in. And then people right from their living room or kitchen or mobile phone, all leveraging Zoom technology. And it was just an insane environment of proximity. Even though we were all over the world in different forms of media, it's like we were all together and just the energy was next level. And it was so awesome to share the stage with just some such inspirational thought leaders. And, my business partner, Brian Underwood, his ability to just attract some amazing talent is just crazy. So was privileged to share the stage with Jay Shetty, a longtime friend and brother of mine who is just rising right now in the world, making such a impact. It was awesome to have him there with us. Ed Milet, first time I heard him that deep, just such an amazing story, so much wisdom in his success, in his experience. Joseph McClendon, someone that's worked alongside Tony Robbins for decades now. For those of you guys that see him on a lot of the T-Rob stages around the world, so many amazing leaders from the Prove It community. It was just an amazing experience. And so many nuggets. How many of you guys go into weekends or events or seminars and you just come out with like a journal full of wisdom you look forward to applying? And there were so many I could pull out, but there was one word that Jay Shetty said in his conversation with Brian that just was like full stop for me. And the word was mudita. Mudita. Go ahead and just say it so it comes out of you, comes out of your mouth. You can move it as a part of your vocabulary. I bet you've never said that word before. Mudita. And it's a word from another language that really describes a personal feeling of joy from the joy in others. And I thought that was just such a beautiful thing, that you experience a personal joy because and from you are witnessing the joy in someone else. And I want to talk about that word and really what that word means. I thought it was fascinating that what's the word in the English language that means the same? And I don't know about you, but I can't think of one. I can put it together in a sentence. I can put it together in a combination of words to communicate or articulate or translate. But I can't think of a single word that even has that definition. I think that in itself is alarming. And I think it's worth us unpacking this word, not just what it means, but even deeper, maybe why that word and more so that feeling is maybe more absent than it should be in our lives, in our world right now. And the word for today is mudita. So a feeling of joy because of the joy in another. Now, here's what I want you to understand. When we say mudita, it's a genuine feeling of joy that you experience because you are witnessing true joy in somebody else. You experience somebody experiencing joy, and that experience gives you a true, raw feeling of joy internally. Let me tell you what it's not. What it's not is a compliment. What it's not is nice words. You guys, I know that all of us, doesn't matter where we're plugging in from, we all say nice things when we see people experiencing joy. We all say how much we congratulate you. Congratulations, amazing job. I'm so happy for you. Like, these are all common languages, but I want to peel back the onion and dive deeper here, because this is beyond just an acknowledgement. It's beyond just a polite response. It's beyond just, oh, I'm supposed to say something nice because this person is experiencing, right, a moment for them. It goes down beyond the language, beyond the words, right, beyond the etiquette, down to a real, raw, genuine emotion, a feeling of joy that overwhelms you because you're seeing joy in another. There's a difference. There's a difference. And I'm sure if we're all honest with ourselves, we all can think of so many scenarios where we were watching somebody else experience true joy. You know, they accomplished a milestone or an achievement. You know, maybe they overcame something they were going through. Maybe there was a surprise, right, or a moment. Maybe, you know, there was a relationship. Any number of things that can happen in our life give us that feeling of joy. And I'm willing to bet in a lot of those situations we watch people go through and we say very nice things. But when was the last time you really felt it? You felt joy in yourself, not because of something that happened to you or something you did, but because of that emotion really in somebody else, someone maybe you love, maybe someone you care about, maybe someone that you're just friends with, maybe someone you just met, maybe someone you don't even know. And the real question is, why don't we feel that more often? Why don't we feel joy when others are experiencing joy? Like, at a surface level, you see somebody happy, you should be happy for them, not just by what you say, by how you feel. You see someone elated, you see someone radiating, you see someone experiencing a moment, like that should ignite something in us, a compassion and empathy, to feel joy in ourselves because of joy in another. But so often, how come it doesn't? As maybe frequently or as much as it can. I have three thoughts that come to mind. And I want you to hear me on this, and maybe it's something we've all danced between in different parts of our life, or maybe there's people around us that we see experience these three things, and we can help them overcome it to get to that mudita in their life. And the first is really rooted in a personal insecurity. You see, often we see someone who experiences joy, and instead of looking at it through their eyes, through their lens, instead of genuinely being compassionate or empathetic on what they're feeling for them, how often do we just get in our own way? And we turn a moment for somebody else into a moment for ourselves. And an insecurity maybe triggers, maybe all of a sudden seeing somebody achieve, seeing somebody, break through, seeing somebody rise, seeing something positive happen we immediately flip it back and make it about us. And we feel an insecurity of, well, how come I didn't achieve that? How come I didn't have that? How come that didn't happen to me? And all of a sudden, that instant trigger makes us feel less about ourselves. It triggers a feeling of insecurity of, well, hey, maybe I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not going enough. I'm not pushing enough. I'm not blank. Insert enough. And that feeling of insecurity robs us of that mudita, because we take every moment that's really about the elation of somebody else, and in turn we put it right back and we make it about us, and not even about us, but about why we aren't having that moment, because somehow, some way, someone is making us feel like we're not enough. How many of us have been guilty at some point in our life seeing somebody have a moment of joy and instantly putting back on our own insecurity? And instead of feeling a real mudita, now all of a sudden we feel less about ourselves. We feel inadequate. We beat ourselves up over it. And this moment that should be a high, that should be a mutual elation, that should be a mutual euphoria, that a moment of celebration, all of a sudden becomes a weight, right? Something that weighs us down. And insecurity. The second thing that comes to my mind, and I'm sure we've all been through this and we've all seen and experienced this probably on all sides, is maybe not a feeling just of insecurity, but maybe a feeling of jealousy or envy. Right? And we've all been there. This isn't about guilt, right? It's about just awareness and acknowledgement. It's about growth. It's about understanding. It's about seeing, hey, we've been in a scenario where someone was experiencing a moment of joy. Someone achieved, someone, had something amazing happen. And instead of experiencing that magical moment, that mudita moment with and for them, instead, there's a feeling inside of us that triggers that jealousy or triggers that envy. How come they have something that I don't have? How come they've done something that I haven't done? And instead of feeling that mudita, feeling and celebrating and being happy for another, that in turn, when you're happy for another, that reciprocates, that comes back and elevates you. Instead, all of a sudden, we create a comparison between where they are and where we are, when it's not about where they are or where we are. We're not even in the same game. We're not even in the same race. Guys, every one of us is running our own race. We're in our own lane. We're living our own life. We got to stop constantly breaking out a measuring stick every single moment for every single person. It's not about that. An envy or a jealousy is really an instant comparison that someone is further ahead or higher or more than where you are in this game of life. When this game of life, guys, is not all linear. We're not on the same road. We're all on our own road. Instead of an envy or a jealousy, when we see somebody do something amazing, achieve something amazing, get something amazing, experience joy, shouldn't that really be an instant inspiration? Shouldn't that be an automatic reference of what is possible? Shouldn't we draw desire and motivation from that? Seeing, hey, if they can do it as a person, I can do it as a person. If it's possible for one, it's possible for many. Because when I see somebody achieve, right, I do my best not to have an instant reaction of an envy or a jealousy. It's not a comparison, a game. It's a, wow, they did it. Look at what's possible. It's possible. You guys, that creates an inspiration. That creates an energy. That should elevate your own desire. We can't let envy or jealousy trigger that comparison. We see somebody go achieve. It's mudita, more mudita. We should experience joy for the joy in others. And that joy should be a mutual feeling in that moment, an energy that lifts us up, that allows us to rise, that creates an inspiration and a desire. It's possible for them. It's possible for you. Right? So an insecurity, an envy or a jealousy, the culprit or enemy behind both of those, I think, is this comparison culture that we've gotten into. And lastly, the last thing I'll share is a scarcity. It's a scarcity. Because sometimes when we see others experience a joy, for some reason we think that somebody experiencing a joy somehow makes for less joy in the world for us to experience. You guys see, the definition of a scarcity mindset is that everything is finite. There is a limited amount. It's a net zero game. If somebody has, that means somebody else has not. If somebody gets, that means it must be taken from somebody else. Guys, life is not a net zero game. It doesn't work that way. Just because someone is experiencing joy, that in no way means that there's less joy in the world for you to experience. If someone is experiencing success, that in no way means there's less success in the world. It works the opposite. We don't live in an environment of scarcity. We live in an environment of abundance. An abundance mindset means there is no limit. It is infinite. Matter of fact, the reality is the opposite is the truth. Success doesn't prevent other success. Success leads to other success. Joy leads to more joy. Hope leads to more hope. The more people have, right, the more others can have. The more people grow, the more others can grow. It works the opposite. It's not a give and take. It's a give and give. It's a give and multiply. This isn't a subtraction. But so often we get stuck in the scarcity and we get triggered that, wow, well, someone excelling must mean it makes it harder for me. It doesn't work that way. That's not the rules of the world. That's not the dynamic of the universe. It doesn't work that way. It's not a scarcity. We got to shift from a scarcity to an abundance. Mudita. Right? Instead of triggering a scarcity mindset, a joy, a real joy for what they're experiencing, a real joy for them in that moment, a real joy without a scarcity mindset, a real joy without a envy or jealousy, a real joy without an insecurity trigger, a nothing but in that moment, a feeling of joy for what that person's going through because of them, for them. And that experience of joy for them is a real experience of joy within yourself. It's not about you in any way. Guys, I love that word. Mudita. We need a word for that in English. In the meantime, let's just borrow that word. It's a beautiful thing. Say it with me, mudita. And less of the things that prevent that from happening in our life. And again, the point of these conversations, guys, is not to hit you between the eyes or hit you in the heart and be like, man, I did that this week. I let insecurity get in my own way, or I had a trigger of jealousy, or man, I had a scarcity mindset. You guys, it's not about beating yourself up. It's about creating a level of awareness in our conversation, in our own growth. So that way we can say, okay, I see that. I did that. Because shift starts with awareness. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's about being aware so you can make the shift, so you can grow. So next time it happens, you're like, I'm about mudita. I'm not about envy. I'm about mudita. I'm not about jealousy. I'm about mudita. I'm not about insecurity. I'm about mudita. I'm not about scarcity. And these conversations raise that to a level of consciousness that we can catch ourselves and make that shift. And the more we catch ourselves and make the shift, the more natural it becomes for us, and the more mudita we'll have in our life, the more joy from the joy of others. Let me ask you guys right now, which one of the three do you need to work on most? If you're willing to share below. Hey, maybe there's others that get in the way of your own mudita that I didn't describe. Would love your feedback and your perspective, right? This is just what came to me in this inspired thought from the conversation today. So many others coming off the event. Thank you, Jay Shetty, right? Thank you, Ed Milet, Joseph McClendon, all the leaders, Brian Underwood for putting together such an awesome community of thought leaders that allow us to have just new ideas, like a simple word mudita that can change so much for so many people. One more view from the top. I'm going to finish my run. Here's to more mudita in your life this week and forever. Until the next time we walk together, take care, everybody. Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram at Blake Mallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.